On this episode, we're talking about honing your craft. Everybody, welcome back to the Quarter Show. We have been way behind on doing these, so we thought we'd just kind of take a moment and do a show. We're going to get some more happening. We're getting some more subscribers, which is great. Thank you very much. And we're just going to work on getting some more content here. Maybe once or twice a week. We'll see. We have endless things to talk about. So one thing we just were discussing was honing your craft, and I think there's a big difference between a job, right? Treating things as a job or treating as your craft, right? And when you look at it as your craft, if doing sales is your craft, the thing that you're trying to master, you're trying to become a master, attain mastery of your craft, that's a whole different thing. And I really truly look at it that way. I remember when I made that decision, I've actually continue to make that decision at different points. I want to attain greatness at that, where you're so good, you can essentially overcome anything. It's really a craft. It's not a job. It's not about just making a commission. It's your craft. And when you treat it that way, if you treat anything that way, whether it's doing art, it's writing, it's running, it's acting, it's whatever, when you truly start working at getting great at a craft, that's going to change everything. And if you treat it like a job or something you have to do or whatever, you're just going to be mediocre and only attain that level. You're not going to actually get into that 1% level of performance. So you have to shift. It has to start by shifting your thinking about it. And I was just saying to Ben, through the pandemic, when this whole pandemic thing hit, we ended up, we would do 4, 5, 6 Zoom calls per day. We ended up doing, I think, 740 Zoom calls last year.
Along with 30 to 50 phone calls.
Along with 30 to 50 phone calls every single day. And that helped even just hone our craft. Now, keep in mind, I've been doing this for 13 years. He's been doing it for 9 or 10 years. And you start looking at it, you go, it takes a second, right, to hone your craft. Malcolm Gladwell, in the book Outliers, talks about the 10,000 hours rule. If you haven't read Outliers, read it. He talks about how long does it take to become a great. And in essence, it takes 10,000 hours, right? And so you have to put 10,000 hours in to attain mastery. And that's the same path in terms of honing your craft. And if you're not putting in the hours, you're not putting in the time, you're not working to become a master at your craft, you're always going to kind of be in that mediocre level, which is not where you want to be.
For some salespeople I've seen come in and do different things and have certain levels of success, some people come in so ambitious and so hot and so like they want to go off like a rocket ship and go to the moon. And look, I'm all for ambition. I'm all for big goals and whatnot. But there's a level of you really got to hunker down and you really got to just take the next step in front of you and take each opportunity to learn something and not, hey, we're going to go buy Armani suits tomorrow or something like that. Like you really have to get there. Robert and I were talking about this topic a few days ago. And I said, I don't think it took me about 4 years before I could be relied on to get a product when I'm supposed to get a product. And I told that to my wife last night, and she goes, how many hours is 4 years? And 10,600 is what it shook out to, based on how many hours a week I was working, if you're going to do the math at home. But I typed in the hours, and there it was 10,600, I believe. So you really have to have great ambition, have star high goals, but you can take plateaus to get there. You can take benchmarks, you can take certain things along the way. You don't have to go stratosphere all at once, because it may not come that way. So it takes a mentality of the long game. Of I am gonna dedicate myself to this, and I'm gonna take every moment of every day that I can.
Yeah, don't just jump ship. You do have to dedicate. You're gonna hit resistance, right? You're gonna hit adversity. Well, when you look at mastering something or honing your craft, what would you do? What would that look like? It would be, are you reading books? right? Are you doing the work? Are you getting the experience?
Do you have a mentor? Are you listening?
Have a mentor?
Or are you talking?
Are you listening to podcasts? Are you listening to audiobooks? Are you studying? Are you taking courses on that thing? It would be everything that would encompass that path to greatness. And if you study anybody who's attained greatness, they're doing everything to improve themselves, to invest in themselves so they can attain greatness, so they can master their craft. And I was just listening to a podcast this morning with Tom Brady and Dak Shepard, and he said an interesting point. He said, do you want to be your best or the best? And my mind immediately went to the best, but I realized what he was saying was you need to be your best, right? And by extension, it helps you attain the best, to become the greatest, right? And so when you start looking at that, you go, what would being your best be? It would be mastering your craft, investing in yourself, and doing everything to get better personally, which would then help lead to the best.
And something I sort of was just thinking about on that is, along the way for me, we've all encountered this in a learning environment where someone will, you're supposed to be learning, and then some people are trying to prove that they already know something. That, like they'll have someone who's giving them a lesson or giving them some direction, and they can't help themselves. And sometimes each one of us maybe have done this, where they can't help themselves and they have to say, I already did that. I've done that thing. Yes, I already know. Let me tell you about my own example of what I already know. One of my main successful actions, because when I came into Richter, I didn't like sales. I didn't want to do it. I could barely have anything to do with it. But I wanted to be part of Richter, which is why I started and got going. And so whenever I had Robert's time, which didn't happen for a while, by the way, but when I finally did and got some direction, I would not, even if he said, you need to call Frank and you need to say this, and I'm thinking to myself, I've already done that. I'm not going to say that to him. I would sit there and I would listen for the nuggets I needed. And as soon as it clicked together and I had a plan of action that I could do that I knew would work, I said, thank you. Okay, I have to go. I've got to make that phone call now because I know what I'm going to do. Yeah. But I'm not going to sit there and tell him, I already know. So don't, when you get in an environment where you can learn, don't tell people you already know or you already did or anything like that, because that's not going to get the best you, like Tom Brady was talking about. You're trying to be the best. You're trying to demonstrate I already know, which is the best. Yeah. You need to be the best your best, right? And the thing is, and the people who do attain greatness, and I'm telling you, I've studied so many of these things, they're the lifelong student, right? They're always the student. Ben's a great student. I consider myself a great student. I'm always a student. I never pretend like I know everything. I'm always trying to learn. Even if I read, and at this point, I read a lot of books. Oh, I know that. I do that, or what. But I don't block it out. I look for the lesson I can absorb. What else can I do, and things like that. You always want to be that student, the lifelong student, always trying to absorb. Like Ben said, don't go into it. Oh, I already did that. Relook at it, reapproach it. How could it be? So anyway, that's kind of the I think the thing. Just focus on the best version of yourself. Treat it as a craft, and focus on working to attain mastery of the craft. Hope you like that. We will do more, I promise. We'll have more coming at you soon. If you want some topics, or if there's some areas you want us to cover, leave them in the comments. Leave a comment. Say, hey, would love to know. Or maybe if you have a question, we'll take it up. Okay? Thanks for watching.